Good. Hello. I was going to say good morning, but it may not be morning where you are. But my name is Mrs. Alison Cunningham, and I am the Mind Restoration Specialist. And a recent um, speaking engagement made me think about this. And so I said, I got to do a YouTube video about it. And so this is the home edition of Tips with Alison Parenting. And so 10 things. 10 things that you need to know to get kids to do what you want them to do. And this is not just based off theology. I am a parent of 3 small kids, but I also have a background in teaching. And so teaching everybody from high schoolers to kindergartners. So let's go. Tip number 1. You have to expect it. You'll be surprised, but if you kind of talk to them, never talk to kids with sarcasm. So if you're saying it and you're like, don't believe they're even going to do it, then that's right there kind of showing them like she's not serious, he's not serious. So actually expect what you're telling them to do. Number 2, you have to model it, especially with small children who are kind of like in that age of like 8 to 11. We're like, you're old enough now. You should know this. But I had a talk with my daughter and she's like, but mommy, you never showed me. And so I was like, oh, and I'm like, well, baby, thank you for letting me know that. And so again, if you never actually showed it to them or took that time to literally break down whatever you're trying to get them to do, from making that bed to just whatever, that's your job. As a parent, we got to kind of do that first, right? So you got to at least show it to them at least one time. I recommend a few times because teaching is it takes time. And that leads me to number 3. So 1, expect it. 2, model it. 3, grace for it. And so a lot of times as parents, we're just not graceful. We're not merciful. We're not expecting them to mess up. And so if we go back and we remember when they were little kids and they were learning how to walk, how many times did they really fall before they get to learn how to walk? So with whatever you're trying to get them to do now, do not expect them to actually do it. Because what happens is we expect it because they're older, especially with older kids and teenagers, right? You should know how to do this by now, and we don't give them any grace, and we just cutting them, and they're getting frustrated. So you got to give them the opportunity to make mistakes. So I really wouldn't expect for them to do it. You know what I'm trying to say? The first time you tell them to do it, or the second, the third, or fifth, give them that learning curve. Like, okay, this is what mommy, daddy is expecting me. Gotta give them that learning curve. And so number 4, don't, as I mentioned kind of before, do not criticize or scold when they do it and it's like not that good. At least they tried. And that leads me right into number 5. So you have created the standard, and just draw the line in the sand. And just let them know, this is what I'm expecting from you. If this is not going to move or change, as long as you live in this house, these are the things that I am expecting of you. Don't back down. This is the part that parents are least consistent in, and that I urge you, this is what you have to be consistent in. Don't be consistent in scolding, being frustrated, yelling, cursing out your babies. That's not what we're consistent at that, but that's not what we need not to be consistent in. What we need to be consistent in is really saying, this is the standard. I've drawn the line in the sand. Every time you don't do it, you will hear from me. But don't do it in a mean kind of thing. Like, run your home like a business. And when you do that, that means don't make it personal. Don't say, because a lot of times we do take it personal, and it's not necessarily personal. We have to remember that our kids are human, that they can have a bad day. They can wake up kind of foggy brain. They can have some things, we got to put ourselves in their shoes because we were kids once too, y'all. And so we got to remember what it used to feel like to be a kid. And so with that being said, just create that line. Talk to them as intelligent beings, because they are intelligent. And you say, every time you don't do this, we're going to have this talk because we understand. And that's where the long suffering and patience comes in. But I promise you, if you come off firm, you're not going to have to be so they're not going to test you as much. I'll say it like that. When you come off firm and you say, this is what it is, and I know in the past that was what it was, but this, I am turning a new leaf. I'm new. Because remember, every new day for you is a new day for them too. And I remind kids of that. So I tell kids and I tell my students, I'm like, look, this is a new day for me and you. and let's give each other grace. So 5 was drawing the line. I'm sorry, 6 was the patience. I kind of went into it already. 7, this is super important. Make sure you make a big deal about any progress in the right direction. And I mean, because they hear the bad, don't do more. Uh, um, they hear it a lot. Don't do that. Do this. Don't do that. Do that. But so you want to say, good job, excellent. I'm proud of you. Thank you. I mean, happy that don't say happy, like, don't be condescending, but you want to congratulate them for any signs of we're on the right track. I'm trying to obey you. Usually when I'm talking about the brown community here, and we see a kid, I'm especially focusing on the older kids, and we see them try to do it, but they didn't do it well. Why? We break them right down. That's not going to help them in the long run. And to give you a quick example, I have worked at a job where they did not provide for you modeling. They just kind of gave you what you should do, and then you had to do it. And so if you didn't do it, even though you didn't know you had to do it because no one modeled it for you, they will come at you like hard. And I was like, whoa, but ain't nobody told me this was the dress code. Ain't nobody, whoa. And so I was like, man, I don't like being taught like this. Y'all coming at me, reprimanding me, and no one even told me, but because it's in a book or on a website and I'm supposed to just read it. So that example gave me a different perception of how to discipline my children. And I was like, I don't like being blindsided. I don't like getting, whoa, I don't want to get spanked. I want to spank my child rather. And I didn't tell her why she's getting spanked. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta think in their shoes. Number 8, and that leads me to number 8, reinforce with love. Like, we have to think about, and for parents, and I this is rough, but just do it. If you can, think about, this is the last day you'll ever see your child. How would you want to spend that day? You would want to spend that day hugging them, loving them, encouraging them, telling them you the best thing that ever happened. So sometimes, because life is not certain, just have that mindset. I've seen so many parents that weep bitterly because the last thing I told them to do was to take out the trash, or I yelled at them, or I cursed at them. And so they like, man, I just didn't want that to be my last words, right? And so we don't want to live in a way where we regret how we treated our children. So try to just love them at least, and so just try to just reinforce with love. I'll go into ways of showing love in another video, because it's a lot of creative ways you could do that to build up self-esteem. Number 9, as the parent, you give identity to your child. You are the one that tells them who they are, not the child telling themselves or a friend or a movie or whatever they are getting influenced by. So what does that mean? You tell them you can do this. Don't take I can't. Use this with wisdom, though, because some kids literally can't do what maybe mentally, physically you did. So don't live vicariously through your kid. But if this is like cleaning a room or something like that, I'm not taking I can't. Like, we're not going to go lowering the standard for that. So you tell your child their identity. You tell them who they are and what they can do and what you expect from them, because they're your child, they're your seed. Number 10, remember, we cannot control our children, but we can control their options. And we should use that wisdom to help steer them and guide them, kind of like with bumper rails, to the right place and to the right decisions in life. And so that simply might be an idea of what that kind of looks like. Can be anything from, I don't want you eating junk food, so don't buy the chips. You know what I'm saying? It's really something that simple. There won't be any chips in this house because you're looking kind of pudgy, and I want you to live a long, healthy, anointed life. That's just an example. So I hope these 10 tips were helpful to you. I will do a couple more parenting home editions. And so until next time, be blessed.